Hi, welcome back here on the Senior Network. We're discussing caregivers, CNAs. Nancy, it made me think about, I know you probably never say it in front of Becky, but she actually deals with about 300 caregivers on a regular basis.
What?
300.
You have 300?
Active.
Active.
Wowzers.
And 2,000 inactive.
So she's
That's
a
a
very
lot
busy lady. Very busy.
Seriously, that's a lot of paperwork.
But you know, it really, the fact you're talking about geographically and traveling in and so forth, we're very fortunate though. I mean, we have a lot of wonderful caregivers that are willing to make that drive, you know?
We do, but I think the reason that we have so many caregivers is we have a lot of work, which means that we have a lot of clients who are 12 and 24-hour clients. So what that means is they need 7 caregivers per week.
Correct, yes.
So, you know, which sometimes we have to explain to the client why they need so many caregivers and explain to them, well, 40 hours a week per caregiver divided by how many hours per week that you need care. So sometimes we have that discussion, which breaks down to you need at least 6 to 7 caregivers, and then maybe a backup in case a caregiver has a sick child or et cetera.
Yeah, because caregivers get sick, their kids get
Yeah, they
sick.
have lives too.
Right,
Yeah.
and they'd like a day off occasionally. So once we've explained that, you know, and they understand, oh, okay, it's not going to be the same person 24 hours a day and they're never going to have a day off, then yes, we, you know, with one case, we can employ 7 or 8 caregivers. And that's an amazing gift that we've received to be able to give to someone else, which is, wow, I just employed 8 people on one case. And then when we have, you know, 200 cases, it's wonderful to be able to employ so many people. So every week in orientation, we're full and keep moving people through and employing them and offering career paths, yes.
Yeah, Ann Harrison, our director of home health care, because we have our own home health care agency at the Cypress as well. And I know we have we have 100 nurses on, just for that reason. And then we have 3. This is the hardest job, besides being the director of all that, is the scheduler. We have 3 schedulers that work 8-hour shifts.
Yes.
And, you know, it's the one in the middle of the night that says, I can't get to my client
And that
because
client
of
needs somebody,
X.
Yeah.
And then she has to start making the phone calls to,
Move those
wow,
people.
what a job that is.
I always think of that as the Rubik's Cube.
Seriously,
Yes,
right?
you have to move
yeah.
one thing to make someone else happy, make sure the client's happy, make sure the caregiver can make it to a certain location at a certain day or time.
Right.
Yeah, that in my opinion, that's the hardest job at any place, is
It is.
the scheduler.
And it's a great point you bring up, because a lot of folks that try to hire caregivers privately without companies involved, where they run into the most challenges, what we're talking about. They find out through scheduling that those caregivers have lives and they can't make it, and then they're without help.
I
So-
say that, let me tell you, that is one of my biggest things when I'm promoting the Cypress and moving to the Cypress independently, before you need any type of in-home care. It's because when you get sick, or when your spouse is sick, that is not the time to start looking for the care. You need somebody to manage it for you, like the Cypress or Right at Home.
Yeah.
It's so difficult to manage that care, and you know, moms, we think we can do it all, but when you get to a certain age, it is so difficult.
Right. Don't wait till crisis mode.
Oh my gosh, it's terrible.
Well, and you mentioned earlier about the sandwich generation.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that
You
earlier before
find
we
yourself
came
in
on.
that situation.
And that is a growing concern for folks my age, not your age, of course.
That was a kindness.
Oh, okay.
Well, ish, I'm not quite sure, but is that we still have either kids in school, college, just getting out of college, who still need our help.
Sure.
But we have aging parents, and their needs are changing, and especially if you're far away geographically, you're not close by.
And we see a lot of that here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, how can you split your time between your parents, your children, and also maintain a full-time job?
Right.
It's increasingly difficult. And I think we need to have a support group on that.
Yeah.
We have formed our own
right.
sandwich generation support group.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're out there.
Yeah, because it is very difficult. But thank goodness for the Right at Homes of the world that can like I could call for my folks in Raleigh and say, hey, this is a situation.
Yeah.
I can't manage the care. Can you help me? But the most important thing at the end of the day is I want to be confident that the folks who are going to see my parents are trained, vetted.
Right, background checks.
Background checks,
Background
exactly.
checks. Well, you mentioned something interesting, and thank you for bringing up background checks. And hiring privately, because
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw my face when you mentioned hiring privately, but it's always that conversation that I get that pit in my stomach where I think, no, please don't do this. And I can't ward people off more than saying, please don't do this. And the reason being is you can do a background check, and I encourage people to do that, of course. So you should do your national background check and your South Carolina background check. By county, you should do that. But I don't know if people understand this, but when you do a background check on someone, you have to know every county they have ever lived in, ever. Yes.
Doesn't their Social Security number tell you everything?
No. Let me explain something.
Okay.
So when we hire people, what we have to do is we have to take a sworn statement from them, okay, which gets notarized, and we need to know every county you've ever lived in, okay, as an adult, of course. And so they need to list every county, and so we have to do a background check based on all the counties they've ever lived in. Now, again, it's a transient area, so people may not have just lived in Jasper or Beaufort County all their lives.
Right.
So you have to go back to the counties that they've lived in. So if they've lived in South Carolina will cover all of these counties, which is great.
That's easy.
That's easy, great. But if they've lived in, we were just talking about Akron, Ohio. Forgive me, I don't know what county that is, but let's say for the sake of this conversation, it's Akron County. So if they've lived in that county, I have to go to the county, not just Akron, the state. I can't just go to Ohio. Ohio doesn't run that way. Ohio is one of, I think, only 4 states where if you've committed a crime in Ohio, it does not have to get reported past the county to the state. So if you've committed, yes.
That doesn't seem right.
Yes, that's right. So if you've committed a crime in Ohio, I need to know what county that is, if you're truthful, and run it in that county to know exactly what the details were, to kind of understand that, right? So I think the average person employing someone would not know that. They just run a national background check and think, oh, we're good. It's not going to work that way, which is why you should rely upon the professional HR people like yours and mine to know the ins and outs of these things. Yeah. And to have the workers' compensation.
Liability must be insane.
Our company spends so much money every year to indemnify our clients against a slip and fall, a back injury. A caregiver you're self-employing in your home slips and fall.
Sorry.
Yeah,
you're on your own for all of their medical expenses, all of their days out of work, which is really what's going to happen. So, I mean, I can't say enough times that one of the biggest benefits, besides scheduling, I mean, if your caregiver calls out, who's your backup?
Yeah.
Especially if you have to go to work, if you're part of the sandwich generation and you need to get to work, that's going to be, on you to find some backup, maybe a friend, maybe someone from church or what have you. But these other 2 reasons, the background checks and the workers' compensation and liability insurance, to make sure that all your pretty things and your important stuff in your home is where it's supposed to be. You need to rely on companies like ours who do this every day of the week and know what we're doing. We are the professionals for a reason.
Question, what about transportation?
Do we provide transportation?
Well, how do you handle that? Do you drive? Because I know at one point at the Cypress there was an issue about driving their car or your car or...
We actually carry insurance where we can do both.
Yeah. You can drive their car or
whatever they prefer.
Okay.
Right. But they do have to have a clean driving record. Sure. So that's something I run also. And we have a fantastic, very comprehensive data program.
I would pass your exam.
That's a lot. It's a three-day process.
First off, I can't count. I can't even tell you all the counties I've lived in. But besides that, go ahead.
Yeah, I've lived in a few too. So if they actually have a driving record where I'd say, I don't know so much. Like you've got great skills as a caregiver, but I don't know about your driving. You got a lot of fender benders. Yeah. We actually have a tag in our database where I go, please don't offer this person anything where they have to drive to. They would be a great at any kind of job where they're caring in the home, but don't have to provide transportation. Right. I can do that. So when we talk to families and we say this person is an amazing cook, amazing housekeeper, great at hands-on care, but if you need her to drive somewhere, she's not your gal. And then it'd be like, oh, okay, that's fine. That's not something that we need, then that's fine too. So we have a way to identify those things.
Oh, wow, that's great
Yeah.
for you.
Before we end the show, what's going on this summer at the Cypress? Anything exciting, don't you?
We're about to start our renovation of our clubhouse.
Really?
Yeah, oh, thank goodness, yes. We have monies allocated, set aside. The one thing you need to know about Cypress, we carry no debt, which is a big deal. And we just have about $3 million built in reserves for capital improvements. And it's time to update our clubhouse. I'm so excited.
Exciting stuff.
It
Thank you.
is.
Thank you, guys. That's all the time we got. Nancy, I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having
Becky,
me.
thank you so much.
Always a pleasure,
Yeah.
Greg. You know that.
I know that. It's just great to see you. Thank you. And please email us any comments, questions you may have. Please, thank you. See you the next time here on the Senior Network.